Voices of Impact. I have got a wonderful global LinkedIn authority voice, Lynnaire Johnston. Welcome, Lynnaire.
Kia ora, Sigrid. Hello.
It is so good to have you here. Now, LinkedIn is one of those social media platforms most people know, few people know how to use it well. So I'm looking forward to having your voice of impact give us some information details today around LinkedIn. And I think we might just get started, Linnea, with foundation. We have got our expo, the Global Virtual Expo theme around authors. Meet the authors live. Now, you are an author. You have your books there behind you. Point to them. I can see them. I think everyone can see them. And of course, if you're watching this video, you can go to Linnaire's booth, Expo booth, and check out on these details and know where to get hold of her books. So we're talking about, in particular, for, to, and with authors at this expo. And I want to ask you right up the front, Linnea, authors. Why should authors care about being active on LinkedIn?
I think it depends on what kind of authors, Sigrid, first of all. So if you are a business book author, then LinkedIn is the obvious place because other business people, i.e., your audience, are going to be on LinkedIn. It's the biggest social media platform for business worldwide with over 1 billion members now, and it is the obvious place for us to be. But look, I don't see it just as social media. I see it as a business tool because it has changed so dramatically in the last 2 to 3 years that there is so much more available with new features, new strategies, ways of working with LinkedIn that I think authors are missing out if they don't take it seriously. Now, I'm not just talking about once they've got their book finished and published, then it's really almost too late. They need to be establishing their audience on LinkedIn well before they actually publish. Now, that might sound a little counterintuitive, but there's a really good reason for that. And partly it's around accountability. I've heard previous speakers today talk about starting something and not quite getting it finished, running out of steam. And this is a really good way to make sure you actually get your book done. Now, you're an author too, so you know how much work goes into a book, how hard it is to maintain that consistency and get the thing done. And so, if you are on a regular basis posting on LinkedIn about progress on your book, not only are you building an audience, but you're building an accountability group as well. People who are interested in what you're doing and want to make sure you get finished. And they are your team, your tribe, your fans, the people who are going to buy your book because you've encouraged them to come on the journey with you and you can really inspire interest in your book before you even get it published.
Mm.
Of course, once you've got it published, then that's when you can start to talk about all the successes you're having, the reviews you're getting, and have photos of the book with other people and various things. But it's that getting set up on LinkedIn prior to having your book published that I think is the key ingredient and the one that most people miss.
And I think you are absolutely right there, Linnea. When I was working with authors from the initial idea of the book, through bringing their manuscript together, thinking about the publishing and the marketing, I would always bring the marketing or the promotion component in as they start writing. And that is really what this is about, to also showcase and share that on LinkedIn. An excellent tip for you. Do you have a perhaps a personal story around this, a success story of a particular author who's used LinkedIn in that way effectively, Linnea?
Well, I think my own story is a really good example of this, and it's also a very good example of do as I say and not as I do, because my own story around book writing is very odd in the sense that I literally woke up one morning to discover that I had been added to a list of top LinkedIn experts, Australia and New Zealand. Now, I did not see myself as an expert. I'd been writing about LinkedIn for a while, but I'd been writing about what I'd been learning. I simply didn't see myself as an expert. But when I was added to this list, I went to myself, well, what's one thing that all experts have? And that's a book. And what am I? I'm a professional writer. I needed to have a book. So I put together my book during the first few months of COVID, and it was a really good opportunity to be able to make the best of having been added to this list. It cemented my authority and expertise, which I didn't really believe at the time. It's taken a bit of while. We all feel a bit of imposter syndrome, I think, from time to time. And then after the book came out, I did get noticed internationally. And
Mhm.
not only was the book a really great business card, the best you could possibly have, but it allowed me to be seen on the international stage as a published author. Now, the kudos that confers, the credibility that you gain from having a published book is just astonishing. And so from there, you can start to promote your book on LinkedIn and potentially other platforms too, if it's not just a business book. And I think that it's absolutely possible to do it on LinkedIn. Now, I've only done it on LinkedIn. I'm not really on much or many of the other social media platforms, except more latterly YouTube, where quick advertising break. I have a channel called Linkability NZ. Please visit and subscribe if you wish. But I think it's important that we remember that our story is unique, but it can also show other people the way, the journey. And so what's happened to me is a very good example of how LinkedIn can work for other people too. And that is a good example of me walking the talk of using all LinkedIn's facilities, features, strategies, and trends to be able to talk about my book and to have a good audience for it, not only beforehand, which I did to a far too small an extent, and then afterwards to be promoting it in many different ways. So it is possible. Now, my story's all wrapped up in LinkedIn, but not all business books are going to be about LinkedIn. And so I do believe the same applies to any kind of business book. And we have people in our Linkability members community that have done exactly that, have put out books using LinkedIn and getting lots of good publicity by using the platform. So I think it's a really important part of promotioning. I'm now making up new words. Promoting your book is to use LinkedIn.
We are in times of making up words, Lynnaire.
Oh, we
That's
are
perfectly
indeed.
okay. Um, I think you are so right and direct here in this LinkedIn itself being a great tool or a platform to promote yourself, your business, and your book, or your book for your business, with your business. I think that in my experience with authors, the one thing is often that they focus just on that one moment of the launch as their main promotional moment, and they put loud, posts out about that, and they might have a meeting, a Zoom presentation or something like that. And they may even pop an image of their book onto their LinkedIn banner. However, that is usually as far as it goes. And then it sort of sizzles out. They don't have more, in mind about that. So, what elements of the LinkedIn profile itself, the whole profile we're talking about, are really most important for authors in your expertise, Linnea?
Well, you've already mentioned putting your book in your banner, and I think that's really an important thing too. Of course, it should go in your headline somewhere so people know that that's exactly what you do. And I think talking about it in your about section where you're telling the story of your professional journey is an ideal place too. And a lot of people are on that. They understand those three components of it. But what a lot of people don't do, and this is a trick I think a lot of people miss, and that is to have a separate section on it in your experience area. So set yourself up as a role as author, and talk about your book for 2,000 characters, which is about 300 odd words, and tell people what's in your book. Tell people about the reviews, what people have said about it. Share some of the key points. Add in media to it. Put in videos as well, because you can turn this into something that's almost like a mini website all on its own, just in that experience section. You could also add it into your projects if you want to. And don't forget that you can add it as a publication at the end too. So there are so many different places that you can be promoting your book on your LinkedIn profile. And it's just a matter of thinking about it laterally. But the key one there for me that people don't usually understand is putting it in as a separate section in their experience.
That's a powerful way, isn't it? Because it kind of stands out much more even than having it in your banner. Yes, it shows up in there, but you want to know a bit more about it. It's all very well to see the image of it and be able to read the title, but when you have it in the experience area, for example, there's a lot more that you can say about it. Now, reviews is a component that is very, very valuable for others, and we do have a review exchange opportunity with our Global Virtual Expo this time as well. Is that something you'd like to perhaps just touch on? Because in the posting and what authors might put out there into LinkedIn as part of their content strategy and creating content, putting a review or getting a review would be one component, Lynnaire. Give us a bit more detail on that, please, because you've got experience with that as well.
Yes, and I think that adding partial or full reviews to your profile is an excellent idea. Now, one place you can put that is into your featured section. Now,
Mhm.
if your book has been reviewed on Amazon, then you're going to want to put a link to that in the featured section so people can see that review and potentially others. Now, if you've got reviews in different places that don't have links that you can add to your featured section, you can then pick up the words, the name of the person who's reviewed it, and any other relevant details, and turn that into an image that you can put on your featured section. And that would be an appropriate image to add to your experience section where you've just put yourself up as an author under the role title. So that's another way to do it. Of course, reviews and recommendations do sit on LinkedIn, and there's two different formats of those. Recommendations sit at the end of your profile, and reviews, 5-star reviews, same process as Google and Facebook. They sit in your services section. They behave differently, unfortunately, which we won't go into in any detail now, but they are important to have, because where these reviews and recommendations shine on LinkedIn is that the person who's given you either of those, their name, their profile image, and the first few words of the headline display alongside the review or recommendation. So people can see it as authentic. And I believe that LinkedIn is still a very good vehicle for authenticity in 2025, Sigrid. We're in a world that has been deluged by AI, and we need to be able to show up as ourselves and as our published authors, so that we people can see what we do and they know that we are there. The people are saying honest and transparent things around us. So I really believe that recommendations and reviews, those book reviews you mentioned, are super important and perfect for adding to LinkedIn.
Mm. And I, as a whole another topic for us to talk about in another presentation where you will come on again. We've got a couple more blocks at this Expo live presentations coming, and I'm going to ask you more detail on that. But for this one right now, I want to move towards two things. First of all, when writing a book, it does take that consistency approach to do the writing to get there. When am I there? Are we there yet? To get there, there's also a certain consistency one should consider for putting the information, the content out there into LinkedIn is one, but that's not the only important part. It's also about engaging. So give us a bit of an insight on those two areas, consistency and engaging, you yourself engaging, not just waiting for engagement.
You're right with the engagement point, Sigrid, because this year it's become very obvious that organic reach on our posts and our content has dropped dramatically. The word plummeted comes to mind on that one. And so we need to find more ways to be visible on LinkedIn. Reaching out to engage on other people's content is a really good idea. So, what does that mean for authors? That means if you find somebody in your network or even outside your network who might be a potential reader of your book, a potential buyer of your book, the best thing to do is to go to their profile, look at their content, and start to engage on their posts. Now, that will do two things. The first is that it will make you visible to anybody else who looks at that post and the comment thread underneath it. And it's quite likely that a lot of people there won't know who you are or what you do. So it's a really good opportunity to showcase your expertise and your knowledge. What it will also do, though, is it will improve reach on your own posts. And that's because LinkedIn likes people who are active on LinkedIn and consistent. So if you consistently show up on LinkedIn day after day, week after week, even if you're just there to do a few things, to send a DM or two, invite some people to connect, potentially put up a post, the critical thing is to engage on other people's comments or other people's posts in a comment yourself. Now, that's not a great post, thanks for sharing type comment either. This is a comment where it's almost like a mini post on its own, where you are sharing some information, some ideas, moving the conversation forward, adding value, being useful, and asking questions. All of those things are very important in helping you to develop your own personal brand as an author on LinkedIn. So that consistency, Sigrid, is super important.
Yeah, that's one of the key elements. Lynnaire, there's so much more to talk about. I want to come towards two more things to ask you about. One is consistency. Yes, what are some small daily little habits that we can apply on LinkedIn that can really yield big results? So, can you share something small, but that we do every day, for example?
Right. So I think something that's really important to do every day is to invite at least a couple of people to connect. Now that needs to be done with a personalized message. So I'm not just going to click the connect button and ask you to connect with me because you'll just get something that doesn't tell you anything about me at all, and you have no idea why I would even reach out to you. So instead, I'm going to write a quick message that says, "Hi Sigrid, you and I have got so and so in common. I noticed that you were commenting on so and so's post. We both worked at such and such a company at one time. We both like-minded in that we both like X, Y, and Z." To establish some kind of synergy between the two of us.
Mm.
That's all it takes. A couple of those a day will build your network very quickly, because if you want to be visible on LinkedIn, a small network is not going to work for you. As an author, you need a wide network. So little and often on those connection invites is important. And the second thing that you need to do every day is to respond to those people who
Mhm.
accepted your invite. Now, that's the one that mostly gets missed because they may not respond with a message back. And so you have to keep a close eye on your new connections to make sure that you have reached out and said thank you, because that's polite. We do that in the real world. We should be doing that on LinkedIn
Mm.
too. So, two daily tasks: reach out to connect with a couple of new people and follow up with a thank you.
That is fantastic. They are really simple tips. And I want to throw in here very quickly that you have a wonderful community and a membership community, in fact, where those tips are coming regularly, consistently, where we can really learn from. I'm part of that community, and it is just really enlightening, especially when new things come out and we need to know about it. Now, there's so much more to talk about LinkedIn. We will do that in following talks and presentations from you, Lynnaire. I want to do the wrap up by asking you for this presentation right now, for this segment, what is one action that you would recommend authors in particular, but every one of us could do, should do right after this episode? One little thing to improve, step up on LinkedIn in particular.
I think that reaching out to connect with those people that others are seeing here at the Expo is probably the key thing. We have got synergies in common because we're all here. So if you're spotting anybody who has a trade booth or who has been presenting today or will be presenting today and tomorrow, and you're not connected to them on LinkedIn, reach out and do that, because I think that that will be one important way to be able to move these conversations forward. And that will be to establish a connection on LinkedIn and then move to have conversations that can build the know, like, and trust factor. And if you're visiting my trade booth, I've got a little competition going on there, Sigrid, that I'd just like to mention, and it's called the Worst Fictional Business Book title. So I'm looking for really great outlandish book titles of books that have never been written, that people can share with us. Generally, we're looking for things that might be clever and funny and a bit quirky and off the wall. And all you need to do to enter that is to go to my trade booth, find the QR code and to enter. It's really simple, and we'll be drawing that on Monday after the expo is open. And I'm giving away a free visibility package to the winner for that. And I have one last offer to leave you with today, and that is anybody who would like to have a look at what my Linkability members community is all about is very welcome to get in touch with me. And we usually offer this free for 7 days, but I'd like to offer people who are here at the Expo, exhibitors, and people who are attendees a free month of that, so that they really get a good taste of the benefits of being a member. So linkability.biz is where you will find the access point and information about that, Sigrid. And thank you for this, letting me have another chat with you about LinkedIn. I look forward to our next one later on.
It is wonderful. Thank you. Another wonderful offer from you, Lynnaire, around LinkedIn. There is so much that you do offer, and the information that we can gain from being close to you and following you, being in that members community. And for this particular spot, the Global Virtual Expo, to go and visit your both your stall to see and pick up on those details, your competition, and so much more that you can't squeeze all into this one talk. So we will see and hear more from you. Thank you for this one right now, and more about it in further future ones. Thanks, Lynnaire.
Thank you, Sigrid.